and using it to make bricks. So that's basically what Team Caboso aims to achieve. Yes.
Thank you, James. So, you're making charcoal briquettes, yeah? Yeah. James, hello?
Yeah.
So you're making charcoal briquettes, yeah?
No, we are not making charcoal.
Exactly. So be clear. What is it you're creating? What's the value proposition? What are you offering?
Okay, so what we'll be creating is, because a lot of industrial areas are releasing a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, our system seeks to absorb the carbon dioxide, and there's this bacteria of the genus Xenococcus. And what it does is it's able to use carbon dioxide, mix it with materials like sand and gelatin, and form a biomaterial that can be taken and used in making bricks. So basically, that's what the project seeks to achieve. Hello.
Okay, that's great. So just for us, I mean, just to get into the session, just tell us what you've been doing perhaps for the past few months. We know that you were successful in winning, being in the top 3 for the SDG challenge across Africa, and you've had some innovation incubation training. So how has the last few months been for you and your team? What do you think you've taken away from that experience so far, and where are you trying to get to now with your idea?
Okay, thank you very much. So for the past few months, the training and the incubation we have gone through has actually gone a long way to help us. And the kind of exposure we got at the Africa Youth SDG Summit was also good. It helped us a lot. Yes, we did a lot of research and moving on to that particular summit. So the incubation period has given us a lot of knowledge on how to move on with the project. So what we have been doing is, since our project is an idea, we are getting a better model, yes, for the project. So we are trying to get like a 3D model of the project. We are also writing proposals to the departments in our school to help us use their lab to try and synthesize it in their lab. Yeah. So basically, that's what we have been up to.
That's very useful. And remind us, where are you based again?
Ghana. Kumasi in Ghana. Yeah.
Okay. So let me introduce you to the person to my left or right, or wherever you're looking on screen, Professor Frank Forbes-Menson, my colleague at Shibuka. Frank, do you want to say a little bit of hello, hi, your background experience?
Hi, all.
Just say a little bit about yourself and where you've come from and your great experience in Africa, and
Sure.
your role as a professor, and how you really help many young innovators and entrepreneurs, both in the Shibuka ecosystem, but also beyond.
Correct. All right. Thank you very much, Daryl, for the chance to chip in here. Guys, yes, I come from Ghana. I'm a past product of Cape Coast University. I've been living in the UK for the past 33 years now. I came here to pursue my Oxford degree, which I did some long time ago. Since then, I've been into the investment banking world. I worked for a few, merchant banks, RBS, Fleming's, Chase Morgan, Chase John Chaco, JP Morgan. Then I moved on to Switzerland to do some more continuous work with the Zurich banking network. Since then, I have been in investment banking until 2009 when I joined the academia. I came to Ghana as a visiting professor to serve UPSA, University of Professional Studies and Accounting. A bit of work in Legon, as well as UCC, Cape Coast. In 2002, I helped Patrick Awuah to put together the business faculty for Ashesi University and mentored a number of my students. Some of them are very popular guys within the financial services and IT world in Ghana now, called the doers. The doers in terms of guys who have established a lot of wallet systems for the Ghana GHIPS, that's the Ghana International Payment Systems. Most of my students are very well known in terms of entrepreneurial skills. Dreamoval, which is the main IT consulting group now, are all my students. I help them form the company, and we are doing very well in terms of their progress. There are 6 of them who are mentored for the last 12, 15 years within Accra to become international moguls of IT. Over here in the UK, I do a lot of similar stuff for young guys who are pursuing their degrees and want to have a bit of knowledge in investment banking. I established the Ashesi internship program for the Goldman Sachs group. If you've ever heard of that, Goldman Sachs offers Ashesi students, at least 8 of them come here to the UK to have some internship programs to come out with enough financial services knowledge to run their own businesses. Over here, that continues from individual, students who are interested to become entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of background in terms of hands-on management, portfolio management, active investment management services that I tend to train some of these guys on, especially in the areas of entrepreneurial, small and medium-sized business management, which is one of the areas I teach in my current professorial role. I work for about 6 universities in the UK. I've got 15 research PhD students qualifying under me, and always looking for opportunity until I met Dara some 10, 15 years ago. But we disorganized and, went our separate ways before meeting again from last September en route from Kigali to the UK. So my involvement in Shibuka is a very keen one, so as to see how best we can develop value creation together for guys like you to sing the song of what Shibuka has done for you moving forward. So I'm very interested meeting all of you online now, and we'll look forward for a positive collaboration. And that's about me.
Thank you so much, Frank. And I noticed that Vanessa says, I'm going to say it how woohoo! Excuse me, I had fever as well. Woohoo! Yeah. This meeting is for me. Why did you say that, Vanessa? Why is it for you? Welcome, by the way.
He mentioned the key areas that I'm also interested in. When he mentioned the investment banking and the company that he has worked for, I was also interested in that line. So I was just glad that I heard someone also speaking in that area. That's why.
Good. And Vanessa, what company are you from, Vanessa?
I'm from Ghana.
Yeah.
I'm from Ghana. Yeah.
And which company, which organization, which one of the teams?
Rico Plus. I'm representing Rico
Ah,
Plus. Yes.
good. We'll come back to you in a minute so you can tell your story and bring us up to date. And I see that Deborah Rose has just joined us as well, Professor Deborah Rose from London. Hello,
Good.
Deborah.
Good
Hello.
afternoon. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, to be in this meeting and to be in your company. So I'm really looking forward to what we're going to achieve tonight. So hello, Daryl. Hello, Frank. Hello, Evelyn, James, Lydia, Vanessa, Moses. Hello and good evening.
Hello. Debs, you're welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And I'll come back to you very shortly as well, so you can say a bit about what we do and why we do it and how we do it. Frank was most eloquent in his in the way he described his background in Africa, and particularly in the Ghanaian setting, and the wonderful students that he has supported in the investment and finance world, who are now doing great things back in Ghana. And you know, Frank, myself, and Deborah are all senior members of the Shibuka team. Indeed, Deborah and I co-founded Shibuka, which we registered purposefully after, again, I mean, James, you mentioned earlier about research. It is so important to do your research always, not just once or twice, but continuously. For example, if you look at the way in which the world has changed over the past few weeks, days, let alone the last few years with the pandemic, it will certainly point you as to why you need to continually scan the environment. So we did, and we constantly do and continually do. And that's one thing as mentors that we will always be stressing to you: the power of the research you do, the credibility of your research, to justify the decisions that you are taking with your organization. So Deborah and I co-founded Shibuka in just before the 2020 lockdown as a local NGO registered in Rwanda. And so the reason why we did that was because that came out of a project that we had developed as professors at University of Westminster, involving University of Westminster students and University of Rwanda students, looking at sustainability, sustainable enterprises, in particular social enterprises, and also bringing on board the idea of cross-national education, education between one country and another, to see how knowledge can be exchanged, knowledge can be transferred, and how co-creation can be happening across the world. And so that project was successful because we really took baby steps in making that happen. You know, step by step by step. It was a long-term process. We started the journey in 2016. The project ran between 2017 and 2018. We then spent 2 more years doing further research and development with small funding, and most of the money out of our own pockets, to find out what we could do and how we could best support the sustainable development of young innovators and early startup entrepreneurs in Rwanda and beyond. And so that led us in 2019 to consider the development of an NGO, but not an international NGO, purposely a local NGO, so that we were in partnership with government of Rwanda. And so since the pandemic, we've run a number of experiments, we would say, incremental experiments, each of which we have learned and developed as we've grown along the way. Much of it, to be fair to you, bootstrapping, getting what resources we can in order to ensure that our beneficiaries can benefit from our support and our guidance, but also enabling them to take responsibility for their own development as well, which is a very important ethos for Shibuka. Shibuka is a Kinyarwanda word meaning to grow, to come from the earth. So that's what that's how we see early startup innovators and entrepreneurs, as these shoots that are coming through the earth. But of course, the earth needs to be nourished, it needs to be maintained, it needs to be cultivated. And we understand, just like you, the challenges of establishing businesses. And we don't make any apology for calling NGOs businesses, because you have to bring in somehow revenue, finance, funding to survive. So you need to have a business-like mentality, whatever it is you're doing, whether you are a company or whether you are an NGO. And so we have taken small steps along the way between 2020 to tonight, the 30th of March, 2022, to be with you guys. And the role that we really wish to perform, and I know Deborah will say more, is to be your guide. We're your guide on the side. Yes, we are all professors, and sometimes we wear the hat of teaching and enabling people to learn. We also wear another hat, which is our Shibuka hat, where we want you as young people to take responsibility for your own development in a very safe space, but in a very collaborative and co-creative space as well. So, you know, we want you to really grow and develop, just as Frank said earlier with his students. It's great to see, you know, Deborah and I support master's students, we support bachelor students. Frank, as you hear, supports PhD students. Frank comes very much from an investment finance background, which is so essential for any organization. So you create economic value in your organization. And he comes from an entrepreneurship background as well. And the same with Deborah and myself. We come from an entrepreneurship, innovation and marketing perspective as well. So, you know, you've got to think about the left side of the organization, the economic value that you are creating, but also you've got to think about the right side of the organization, the demand side of the organization, and how you ensure that people in the marketplace actually want to buy what it is that you have to offer, how you're going to be developing those brands, and how you're going to be communicating your messages. You know, the business models that may have satisfied businesses in the pre-pandemic world are not going to satisfy businesses in the post-pandemic world. And you are on the right path in starting to align your business opportunities with the Sustainable Development Goals, and how you can ensure that your business can solve many of the problems that exist in the world today. But if no one hears what it is that you have to say, if no one understands what your message is or how your product or service adds value to their life, then you've merely created something which is not worth anything at all. At this point, I'd like to bring Deborah in, who is really the communication, public relations and media expert, and also is such a powerful force in this entire process that we'll be taking you through in terms of storytelling, supported by Evelyn in Rwanda. So Deborah, welcome. Well, I hope
Yes.
you're still there.
I am, and I've been listening very, very attentively to the clarity in your words, and I want to echo so much of what you've said. Daryl's already pointed out that we are co-founders of Shibuka, an NGO, and we have energized it. And I'm very purposeful in that choice of word. Energized its initiation and its continuation. Our focus, as Daryl has said, comes through our vast experience as being professors, as he said, in UK universities, as well as running our own businesses. having and running our own businesses. So we're very much experienced at leading and developing entrepreneurs as leaders as well as managers. And I make that distinction quite clearly because through our experience, we're very keen to ensure that entrepreneurs on the continent step away from a sort of cash and carry approach to business or business development, and instead to really embrace the value-led approach to developing business. As a result of that mindset, we have spent a lot of time assisting entrepreneurs shaping their messaging, because what underpins the shift from cash and carry sorts of businesses to value-led businesses are businesses that have a clear message, and that comes from understanding your role in relation to your customer. So that is where we honor the process of brand development. And we do that quite simply through the process of really getting you to hone your storytelling. Stories are the ways in which your customer and your stakeholder will remember you. And that's something that's been enshrined in the work that we have, that we're doing in Shibuka. You'll notice when you go through some of the materials that we've created a video, a film rather, a short film, and we're going to be developing more films to continue to really build out the storytelling, which elevates the businesses and Shibuka from simply just being another NGO to one which really talks to what the heroes in our organization are about. And notice I use that word quite openly, the hero. So when we're looking at brand development, we're looking at openly talking through the stories of the heroes who are part and parcel of our activity. We are very much the guide, and we support you as the heroes. And that means that we recognize very openly that you will be having challenges, you'll be having setbacks, but more importantly, and what makes you compelling to other entrepreneurs is that once you have a setback, you also have a comeback. And then you may then still have another set of challenges and issues and problems, but you keep finding ways going forward. And that's what makes you really riveting and interesting for other people to be following. And that's also why we continue to support you guys in developing your stories, so that they're not forgotten, that they are things that people can hold on to and which they can share with others when they're talking about your particular piece of work. I'm not going to go on much further because I really could take you down some more interesting points of view around storytelling. But I just wanted to really emphasize to you that, number one, we've been on this journey. We know the ups and downs. We are about developing leaders beyond just management. There is quite a big distinction. We are really about moving your businesses beyond just cash and carry. And you know, Frank and others here, we're very open to talk about what that means. We are here to elevate you into real value-led businesses, which will capture the imaginations not only of your customers, but customers around the world. And we know through so much experience that comes through really clear storytelling, which is based upon you fully embracing your value proposition. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to take you on an amazing journey. We're here to make your life easier, but equally we're here to assist you to face those issues that are that once you face will help you to get to the next level. So that's what I do, and that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Wow. I hope you were
Wow.
all listening to that. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Wow.
I'm glad I recorded that. Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm going to come to Vanessa and Evelyn shortly, but I just want to hear from Frank, because Deborah said so much there that can be unpacked over the next few months, and the power of storytelling, the power of you as young innovators being comfortable and confident in telling your story, and why it's important to an investor, to a stakeholder, that you should tell your story. But also, Frank, I want to pick up on the point that Deborah mentioned quite a lot about this cash and carry versus value proposition culture. I know it's a favorite phrase of yours. So
Yeah.
maybe you can articulate from an African perspective what your concerns are and what you see when you're talking to young entrepreneurs on the continent.
I want to thank Deborah for the elaborate, eloquent presentation at this beginning of this team meeting. The concept of cash and carryism is to be expecting the fruits of your harvest so early, there and now, instead of focusing on economic value addition, which would then project the business onto a trajectory of permanency. We tend to want to harvest earlier than we even, sow. There's an African proverb which says that English have the same thing. Do not count your eggs or your chickens before they are hatched. Just in the process of trying to put the effort in to build value, to build a brand, to add economic value, to create a trajectory, to create a story, a name. People buy people, but they buy your story more. We want to be able to support you guys that you can think on the long range of a trajectory of your businesses, no matter how small they are. I've spoken to you about my story. My story is about how I have transformed young students of Ashesi to become business moguls right now in Ghana. You can always look at Dreamoval. Dreamoval has become a go-to place for the government and every other company interested in looking at consultancy within the finance and IT world. My advice to you as we move on this journey is one, emphasis on co-creation of value that will be large enough for everybody to share and be satisfied. Not value that will be nipped in the bud with the belief in cash and carryism. Cash and carryism is like cash down now. Let me look at this today and forget about tomorrow. We cannot grow together. We are putting in all these efforts just to make sure that we can have a different level of story to tell in the next 2 or 3 years based upon your success and achievements. Like Vanessa has said, it's part of my story. I came here to create a value, and that value is what some of the students are now seeing in Goldman Sachs. That has never happened in Ghana. So the issue of dreaming ahead and making sure that your business becomes a brand name is something that I want to emphasize, not the short-termic way of harvesting or nipping, self-destructing of the business before it even gets to be known. Your stories must sell the brand, and the brand must grow. That way, customers believe that, look, this is a business that I can believe in, I can work with for the longer term. That would be my piece of drop on the issue of not thinking cash and carry. Today, we are having a lot of issues in Rwanda because there's a lot of opportunities. But whenever you approach the entrepreneurs there to do something, there's all delays. It's like, if you don't do this now, we cannot do this tomorrow. And that will not help Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa needs a more forward-looking youth. And that's why we established Ashesi, a university that would train ethical managers for the populations to come in Africa. And I welcome you guys on board on this grand Shibuka dream that we can all, talk about a different level of story in the next few years to come. That will be where I will leave this one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frank. Deborah, do you want to pick up on that, and I'll open the floor to others?
Well, yes, I mean, it really is time to deepen the conversation. And Frank has said it very clearly. It really is time to deepen the conversation about the assumptions that we make around developing entrepreneurs. And this is beyond the early stages. This is also into the maintenance and going forward. I would like you to all of you to think about words like welcoming a new mindset.
Sure.
We are here to have a conversation, but there's something else as well. You also have to, and I'm sure you are, but recognize that when we are sharing things with you, that we cannot force information or ideas into your head. You have to welcome it. And that means sometimes when there are ideas, empowering ideas, which will empower your capacity for increase, that sometimes it might sound absolutely weird. You might say, really? And you really need to prepare yourself to shift your mindset. There will be times when we're working with you where we're going to be asking you to reverse the stories that you have in your own mind. There are going to be times when we're talking with you and we're assisting you to build your mindset that we're going to be asking you to neutralize your doubt. Notice I'm being very specific. Reverse some of the stories in your mind. Neutralize some of the doubt in your ideas, and to think about things like understand, and this is the thing I want you to really think about today, understand the myth of, and this might be provocative, the myth of difficulty. Now, what do I mean by this? Sometimes we have bought into myths of difficulty. But say, for example, if I see two colors, red and yellow, is it more difficult to be red or is it more difficult to be yellow? It doesn't make sense. They are just different qualities. However, if we buy into a myth that to run a business is more difficult to have a job, then we will only experience our perception. Note what I'm saying. we will only experience our perception. So the invitation that we have offered here and we are welcoming you to accept is to recognize when you are espousing a myth, and for you to be willing to let go of myths like, is it really, really so difficult? Or is it that you have pandered to a myth and you yourself have bought into ideas which now you're willing to let go of? So that's the sort of thing that I would want you to think about. This is not simply just going to be us giving you lots of ideas. It's very much dependent upon you welcoming and accepting that you have to change from the inside out, and to be prepared to look at your own mindset, release any ideas which might mean that you belong to a club which is not successful. Release those ideas and step into a mindset which says red and yellow, they're the same, so why not just do it? Why not just do it? So that's what I would like you to think about. This is really a time for much deeper conversations. We are absolutely a strong support space for you. And we invite you to really think about what are the doubts and objections that you have to your own success, because they are the very ones that need to be put onto the table and then to be released. That's part of the process that you are going to be engaged with, because we are well beyond that now. So that's really what I wanted to add there, Daryl.
Fantastic. Well said.
Thank you,
and,
Darrell. Let me point something on Deborah's latest.
For sure.
And even, look, coming from Africa, having 3 UK professors devoting their time to develop your business. If I had this in 1986, 87, whilst I was a student in Ghana, maybe the story would have been different here. What I want to really input here for you guys, adding on to Deborah's comment, is the fact that even if there's confusion in your mind, you need to take that plunge into the deep.
Yeah.
Adding yourself to the fact that you can console yourself with the fact that you have experienced people on board as your mentors.
Mm.
The problems will come, as Deborah has rightly put it, they will surface, but you come out of it and reestablish again because you have a good support. The support system is the strongest you can ever rely on to build long-term brands, which many people are not lucky to have.
Mm.
So my chance for you, my encouragement is to make sure, if you are from Ghana, I'm speaking to you as somebody who was like you in Ghana some years back. If I had this opportunity of UK professors, mounting their time to talk to me on my business ideas, maybe the story would have been different at the next level. I was the national president administration for ISEC, an international association of students in economics and commerce. And I became a European rep in Brussels in 1988-89 because of an essay I wrote.
Mm.
That was the only support I had to see the outside world, how they think, apart from what I know in Ghana. You guys are double blessed today. And this is why I believe in what we are trying to do with you now on starting this journey. I pray that you open yourselves, believe in yourselves, have the reassurance of the strong team behind you. Anywhere you are in Africa, we would make a case. We will go with you to the next level. Your success is what we are going to be priding ourselves in. And I leave that for you guys to challenge yourself. I teach a course called Managing Small and Medium Enterprises for the University of West London. What we do is every week that we meet you, you are going to put a journal article together as a reflection. Every week that I meet my students, they put a reflection journal together, what they have picked up from that session. And this will be some of the implementations that we would expect you guys to undergo, so that when you read this journal in 1 year's time, in 12 months' time, you can see where you developed from tangibly and use that as a confidence factor, a stepping stone to move to the next level. We are believing in the fact that this relationship has come to stay and will bear very positive fruits, like you can see in Daryl's root Shibuka, emblem. I encourage all of you to be open. Don't harbor anything that you think is a confusion in your mind, so that we can help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. To build on what Deborah said and to build on what both of them have said, we're here to guide you and support you, excuse me, and to ensure that you can be developed. As Deborah said, a word that strikes me is leadership. You are founders of organizations. You're not managers in the organization. So therefore, and as Frank says, he does some great work at UWL. The work that we do at University of Westminster is about really building entrepreneurial leadership into young innovators that we work with, both at bachelor's level and at master's level. You are leaders, and therefore you have to feel comfortable in fronting up the organization. And the more that you are able to articulate your story from an inward out perspective, the more people both within your organization will buy into your vision, and you can share it with them, and they can feel that they are co-creating it with you. And the more that you are sharing it outside with others and having those conversations, the more that you will find that your vision will become clearer through the clarity of the words, the images that you are using. I know that alongside the mentoring program, which is going to be us sometimes meeting like this collectively to listen back to the events that have gone on since we last met. Sometimes we call those events critical events or critical incidents, both good things that have happened and the things that you have overcome and how you overcame them. Those are things that we're going to be establishing on this journey in the group work, and also the individual work when you meet either with myself or with Deborah or with Frank, is that one-to-one work for you to really focus in deeply in your mindset, and also to guide you with the development of your proposition, so it becomes less cash and carry and more value driven. I want to say another thing about the value as well. It's incredibly important that you build economic value into your organization, and I think we've made that extremely clear, and I know that Deborah has articulated that with Frank very strongly. The point is that you have the opportunity through developing a shared value proposition in Africa, is that you also recognize the social value or the social problems that your business is able to meet, to deliver, to solve. And more large or medium or even small enterprises are now looking at the area of social entrepreneurship, particularly so in Africa, where social enterprises probably employ more people than any other type of organization. So, shared value. And I encourage you to look at the work of Michael E. Porter at Harvard and his work on shared value. Indeed, after this meeting, I'll put a link to a very short video that he produced for a TEDx conference some years ago, and to give you what it is that really you have the opportunity to develop and create. So there'll be group mentoring sessions. There'll be then individual mentoring sessions will then come back. And as we've said, you know, at the time of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, given that we've got organizations from both Ghana and Uganda, part of the Commonwealth, we're all part of the Commonwealth actually, which is fantastic. That will be the opportunity for you to showcase and pitch, you know, your value propositions to a wider audience. And I know that Deborah and Evelyn, who's been listening patiently, is also here with us. There will be, as Frank said, the importance of reflection, the importance of reflective journals, but also we want to, I think, get from you some short video diaries along the way, some interviews for podcasts that we want to do and develop as we go onwards and upwards. I think I was going to come to some people have now left. James is still with us. Frank, James, you've been listening in to the first session. Frank, do you have any comments you want to make?
Thank you very much, Daryl. I dropped off along the way. But I came back and I got to have the privilege of listening to Professor Frank. And what else can I say, Daryl? I'm just listening to a volume of experience speaking to us about all that we are going through as startups and entrepreneurs and with ideas. So I'm just sitting back and also listening to, and also from just the volume of experience being given to us, just being the first session of us. I just can't wait to see the relationship, as Professor said. This is just the starting, and I'm just bracing myself for what I'll be getting along the way. So, Daryl, I think all that I can say is that we are much privileged to have such professors around, and just as he rightly mentioned, some of this we couldn't get along the way, but now I believe it's still time. We just be steady and also have such time so that we can come around and we just listen to such volumes of experience shared to us. Thank you very much, Daryl.
Thank you. Thank you. Moses, you've been listening very patiently as well. I know you represent one of the teams. Are you able to open your mic and say which team you are from and how you feel about what you've heard so far tonight?
Thank you very much, Professor Darrell. Thank you, all the presenters. Thank you, all the award-winning teams. I would like to say I am really very sorry because I have not been able to follow up the session right from the beginning, as I had a lot of technical issues.
Okay. I think Vanessa's now, but you're with us now, and we will certainly be with you over the next few months as well. So appreciate that, Moses. Vanessa, you're back in the room. I think you've been listening.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. This is what the world we. Yeah, you've listened to a lot of what we've had to say about what Professor Frank and Professor Deborah have said. Earlier, you said, "Wow, I'm in the right room." Are you still in the right room?
Yes, I'm so inspired. I'm very much inspired. I like the area of the mindset that was tackled. Everything begins with the mindset, and I'm so glad that I'm part of this meeting to shift every kind of mindset that will make us think like we cannot make it or we cannot thrive in some years to come. So I'm really glad I made it to this, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. That's what I love. Thank you.
Good. And what specifically are you looking forward to over the next few months on this part of the journey? What are you hoping you'll be getting out of it? Oh. Vanessa? Oh, she's gone. Okay. Vanessa, are you still there? Okay, can't hear you at the moment. Evelyn's been listening in. Evelyn, good evening, Evelyn.
Good evening, Professor Darrell. Yeah, I've been
How's
listening.
Rwanda tonight? Welcome.
Yeah, Rwanda is good, but also cold. think we are
Okay.
entering in a rainy season, but we managed, yeah.
Okay, so I know that you know, do you want to, you've been listening in. I know. How do you feel about what you've heard tonight and the work that we're going to be doing over the next few months with? I know you're going to be, you and Deborah and Huda is here as well. They're going to be doing more in terms of you know, keeping in touch with these guys along the journey, alongside the mentors. How are you feeling about the process and what you've heard tonight?
Yeah, I think I feel more positive about this, and thanks to Deborah for the actually giving the great introduction and summarizing the entire actually work we are planning to do with the team. The only thing I will mention to the team is that this is a very huge opportunity, and they, like Professor Frank mentioned about that, take this as one of the lifetime opportunities, which you will learn, benefit, and also be able to grow not only yourself, your business, but also the surrounding community. Because by the end, what makes a business growing and becoming successfully, it's not just you waking up in the morning, go to open your shop, whatever. Then client, you start probably welcoming clients to come in to buy product or to request any kind of services. But what makes a business to succeed is actually you being able to think critically on what the community needs and also be able to develop a solution around that challenges. But by the end of the day, be able to sell or communicate your service, your product, and there is no other way you can do that without having such strong communicative skills. So we'll be here over this period of around 3 to 4 months, I would say, to help you creating that ability to communicate what you do, but also ensure that you tell the community what they want to listen so that they can be able to join you in this journey of growing your businesses. You won't grow your business or your organization alone. You will need your community, you will need your customers, you will need the entire network. You need all the professors, beautiful professors we have here. You will need the entire community, the entire Africa and the entire world actually to develop your businesses. And it is going to start right from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Evelyn, and good to have you on the call, and also Huda, who's also in London. I mean, and now Huda is here. I think Frank mentioned something. You know, sometimes we love working with our students and giving them opportunities. Huda was is a first year bachelor's student at the University of Westminster who worked with Deborah and I last semester between September and December, when we set the students the challenge of really becoming marketing consultants for Rwandan enterprises. And so, you know, Evelyn's organization, Evelyn was very pleased to be part of the client side, and Huda worked on her project, and here we are now, a few months later, working collaboratively on this project together. The reason why I talk about that story, not necessarily in a good way, because my head is slightly muffled with fever, is that, you know, you never know what is going to happen next. You take a small step and you never know where that step is going to lead. And that has led to where we are today. I remember reaching out on Twitter last year to Lars Ditzel at the Melton Foundation, and here we are today. You know, so reach out to people. Do not hold yourself back. Be confident in what you have to say. We're here to help you articulate your message and to make sure your message can become stronger. That, as Deborah has said, is the very important part of the process that we will be taking you through. Moses, I noticed you had your hand up a few moments ago. Did you have a question?
Thank you very much, Professor Dare. I understand I have not been able to follow every step of this meeting, but I would like to say something small. Basing on the few information and the communication which I got from Professor Deborah and Professor Frank, I think as Umaroro Development Initiative, we are really very happy for this mentorship program, and we are really looking forward to moving our organization forward with this mentorship program. We are seeing that this mentorship program will actually give us an opportunity to develop new skills and competencies in our organization through the advice that we are going to get from Professor Darrell and also Professor Deborah. We also see that this mentorship program is also going to help us gain more confidence and ability in our work. Hence, this will actually improve on our productivity in the organization. And also, we are seeing that this mentorship opportunity will also enable us to create network with likely-minded individuals and also organizations, of which as Umaroro Development Initiative, we really appreciate all the efforts that Melton Foundation is putting in, that Shibuka is putting in to ensure that we actually develop our organization and move forward in terms of increasing the availability of our products and also targeting much more beneficiaries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we hope we live up to those expectations. And of course, the reason why how those outcomes can be brought together is through the collaborative effort. So there's lots going to be going on here. This is why I think, as Frank said, and if you look at the research, you know, this was the case before the pandemic. It's even more important as we come out of the third wave across Africa. This ability to have access to global ideas and knowledge that you can then transfer into your own context. Context is incredibly important. And also the ability for you to have this space where we can learn and exchange ideas with each other. That is a really important, powerful part of being part of a community. You're a community of entrepreneurs, a community of early startup entrepreneurs or community of innovators. You are certainly a community of practitioners sharing the same goals, the same aspirations, the same ambitions. And that's why, you know, having an open mind, having an open heart, giving feedback constructively, listening to what's said, but also taking on board those ideas for yourself and thinking about what it means for you personally. These are your businesses. These are not our businesses. Taking that on board to develop yourself and your team's thinking and mindset and proposition will see you through. I'm conscious that it's 8:05. This first session was really an induction, a welcome, so that we all got to meet each other. And I'll let some people conclude in a minute. So what I just want to say is, you know, over the next couple of days, we'll be coming out with more information about the schedule over the next few months. Again, as Lars has mentioned in a previous session, this is very much an evolving, iterative process. So, you know, one of the important mindset requirements in this era is to be agile, to be able to pivot quite quickly to new opportunities, and so that's what we will do. We're here together, and we will evolve the program as we work together over the next few months. I just want to conclude by offering the floor really for some concluding remarks, firstly to Frank and then to Deborah.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I think it's been a very, fruitful as far as my assessment is concerned session this evening as the beginner. I first want to thank you, Darrell, and Deborah for the work you've been dedicatedly, doing all these years. Now trying to find ways of reaching out to young Africans to see the light, in quotes, so as to be able to make a change of our environment and for that matter, to improve the very lives of ourselves, as in the mentees. The way to success is not made for anybody. More so when you are venturing into the world of uncertainties, which is entrepreneurship. There's always going to be a lot of challenges. Deborah has mentioned that sufficiently earlier. There will be setbacks facing you, challenges facing you, but you come back again. It all depends upon your belief system, your mindset. But last week I was telling my students, every business idea comes to solve a problem. To make money from your business, you must learn to create a gap filling assessment of needs. We call it needs analysis. Every business idea you have must have a hinge, and that hinge is to solve a problem and to plug in the gap that is existing. But what I can say is that much as you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges and uncertainties and risk management, as we say in investment banking, risk is there to be managed. There's risk in everything. The Coca-Cola you drink is full of risk. The world is built on trust, but we use confidence to rule it. And if you want to make it in your individual projects, what I would advise from experience is to believe first in yourself, because people buy people. Believe in your ideas, you're solving problem within the social enterprise, ecosystem, which Africa needs so much. And renew your mindset, renew your thinking process. So to end it all, I want to thank you guys for coming on board, welcome you guys on board. We are prepared to support you as far as we can, but I leave you with this. There is nothing to fear than fear itself. So when you go and hit the wall, never give up. Come back to your mentors. They give you ideas and you spring back again. Thank you.
Well said, Frank. Well said indeed. Thank you so much for those comments. And Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much, Frank, for such clarity in your words, and thank you, Daryl, for hosting and organising tonight. I want to really build on what Frank has said so eloquently, and I'm just going to use one word which I'd like you to repeat today in your minds and perhaps tomorrow and continually. I'd like you to think about the word optimum, optimum, optimum. This is really a reflection of understanding the word trust. Because when we start to really, and an optimum is quite different to being optimistic. Optimum means that when you are faced with a variety of situations, whatever the situation may be, that you can say to yourself, optimum. So essentially what we are preparing you to do is to expand your mindset, to focus on the optimum, to keep on solving those customers' problems. I absolutely loved the fact that Frank said the customer, the customer, the customer, and the customer. And when you make the customer your point of reference, when you make your customer the absolute point of reference, then it's that level of clarity that creates an optimum situation. So those are the expectations that I would like to leave you with. I'd like you to continue to welcome the expansion of your own mindset. I know that I'm welcoming the expansion of my mindset because now I'm taking this journey with you and with my colleagues, and we're now expanding even more so. So just as much as you're growing, we too will be expanding. So the welcome that I'm extending to you and to my colleagues, I'm also extending to myself. So we remain in this circle, this virtuous circle of reciprocity. So thank you very much. Optimum, optimum, optimum. Renew your mind. Think about optimum and what does optimum really feel like for you. And that's me. That's what I would like to leave you with.
Right, well said. Write it down, put it on your fridge, put it where you are, you know, have that word in your head. Yes, Vanessa, optimum, optimum, optimum. On that optimistic note, we will let you enjoy the rest of your evening. And watch out in the group. I will be sending further information out over the next few days. This meeting has been recorded, so I will also upload this to the Shibuka YouTube channel, and we'll share this out. I know Deborah mentioned some of the work that we've done already earlier, certainly in 2021, and there was a film we did, which I think we'll share with you as well. Well, I'm happy to hear that you were inspired tonight, Moses. You know, it's a very, as Deborah said, we are all expanding our minds each and every day, and this is certainly a great opportunity for each and every one of us to move forwards. So thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. My last cough of the evening, and not on mute, but we will bid you adieu, and we will say good night, and we will be in touch very shortly. Thanks all for attending. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, James. Bye, Frank.
Bye, everyone. Bye,
everyone.
Vanessa.
Bye,
Bye, Moses. Bye,
Bye,
Bill.
Bill.
Bye,
Bill.
Huda.
Bye,
Bye,
Moses.
Frank. Bye, James.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.